Public Buildings Committee together, Mr. Severance, to discuss the West Burgess and North Sandusky Street ODOT grant.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We have Engineer Ball here this evening to talk about this. Mr. Ball.
All right, is this great? Okay, so first we want to thank Governor John Kasich for creating this program over so many years ago, and thank Governor DeWine for continuing it. So this is a little special part of ODOT where they are focused on jobs and commerce. So for his history's sake, the Commerce Drive intersection traffic signal was funded through the same program. So Mr. Felkins at our area development has been working really hard to get the Heartland Commerce Park reopened. And obviously we're having little growing pains with truck routing and a lot of exciting things happening there. Years ago, we had the basics of this. We were planning to do an improvement on this part of West Burgess and Greenwood, and that was in the 2017 budget. But then with the Siemens plant closing, we didn't do the project. So this is something we've had on the books. The land bank did acquire a piece of property at the corner and you'll see it when you start at North Sandusky Street in Burgess. We're going to try to round this corner to help with some of the truck routing. The other thing is the road base is going to get significantly repaired. We're going to do some sidewalk improvements, some drive apron improvements. So Becker is going to be making large equipment that's going to leave Heartland Commerce Park. It's going to travel across Greenwood and then be placed on the railroad. So part of this improvement will be beefing up these drive aprons to get heavy equipment in and out of the plant. So that's the story. The project is estimated at $355,296.70. ODOT has graciously agreed to offered you $180,000 toward the project, as long as we act quickly, because this is aging funds, is my understanding. So, questions?
I'm trying to get in my head how what this is going to look like.
Basically, so if you start at Sandusky Street, we are rebricking. We'll be rebricking Burgess Street. That work is starting later. The unbricking of Burgess Street will start later this week. Then this is the paved portion of Burgess Street that is the whole length of Heartland Commerce Park. And then the project would terminate at the active rail line, which becomes Greenwood Avenue. So most of this would be milling up the road, doing repairs to wheel tracks, and then repaving it back with asphalt, and then trying to add some sidewalk into the missing pieces.
It's still a public road after this process.
Yes.
So.
Right. This is these funds are ODOT funds. They can only be spent on public roads. So the little driveway work that we're doing will stop at the edge of the right-of-way lines.
You said they're aging funds? What is,
Yeah,
could
ODOT.
you explain that a little bit?
They're my understanding is they're from a previous fiscal year, and so ODOT is looking to use them right away. So this is part of our timeline is we need to accept these funds right away. Otherwise, they will be reallocated.
How long do we have to use them? Like if there's a hiccup somewhere, is there a time limit, kind of like the COVID dollars, like that we have to use them by 28 or something?
I think we have till the end of 27 to use them. So.
Did you say this helps Erico? Is that?
Yeah, this will help Airco. It will help Robertson Truck. It will help Becker. So it helps several.
Erico, yes. I'll tell you, I don't know if you've driven right there at West Pleasant and Burgess, but they've basically just destroyed those corners with those turns. And so, yes, I can see where this is going to help them for sure.
Yeah, so at that curve, the edge of the road, what problem, I don't know for sure. We have not done geotechnical exploration. When the road was built 100 plus years ago, it was probably a narrower road. So then at some point, the road has been widened slightly, and then that edge of the road is not as thick as the middle of the road. And then when you have the large trucks, you know, they're passing cars, they're turning, they're twisting, that edge of the road deteriorates. So this project specifically, one of the specific requirements is to do these deep repairs so that this road is suitable for trucks.
Makes sense.
And then as I look at Amber, you know, our program is, as we do improvements, we are requiring of ourselves that we make sure that the pedestrians have a place also. So there is a reasonable investment in pedestrian access. Because our hope is at some point, people will be able to bike to work, walk to work at the Heartland Commerce Park.
And you said that the land bank purchased, is that this little green roof building between Norton and North Sandusky?
Yeah, so where you see that cutting through the green roof building, that building, the land bank has removed that. And they're participating in the project. So I think the goal of acquiring that piece of property was to make this turn. Because if you remember, we did a community development block grant to replace the sidewalk, and Mel, the trucks from Airco and others have cracked that as they've turned over it on the northwest corner of Sandusky and Burgess Street.
Council, if I may, the widening of this intersection specifically right here, where Mr. Ball is referring to that building being removed, has been a discussion for years. And just to kind of clarify, this is not a project specifically to help any one particular business. It's just to, you know, it's connected to jobs and commerce because it's meant to, you know, assist with jobs and commerce. So if we can increase the turn radius of that area, so we don't have, and we have had plenty of complaints into my office, into the mayor's office, probably to all of you independently, about heavy trucks busting up brand new sidewalks. This is a project that would, you know, alleviate that.
And we're doing work, this is closed in this area right now, correct?
Yeah.
13, because of
Right.
utility work and everything, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're investing quite a bit of money in the 2 or 4 blocks of brick streets, 2 different streets. We're doing valve work. We've also, part of this is from the Norton Street, we've replaced the water line from Pleasant all the way to High Street. And then we've left a couple tie-ins that need done for the sidewalks, because we replaced sidewalks in Norton Street, up to Pleasant Street from Burgess Street. So it's a, you know, investment in the West End and in
Any other questions?
No, I think this makes sense. This is, you know, the one place in town we do want heavy trucks. And so it makes sense to build the infrastructure for them.
We do ask that you pass this tonight so we can enter the contract rapidly with ODOT. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ball. That's all, Mr. President.
We're going to conclude the streets and public buildings. I'm going to move now to Mrs. Keener to discuss employee and community relations about our health insurance.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is connected to Resolution 45. And I'm just going to have our Safety Service Director kind of walk us through it. And he brought in our HR Director who can provide some more clarity as well.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Council, this is essentially a renewal of the city's health insurance. We've worked with our broker, McGowan Brabender, on going out to market, but before we went out to market, we also took stock with a survey to our employees to see what's working with our benefit options, what's not working, what they would like to see, and making sure that when we do go out to market, we're providing benefits that are meeting the expectations of employees. So, you know, there are a handful of things that we can provide employees outside of compensation that retain and recruit folks to work for the city of Mount Vernon, and I think we've put together a pretty good benefit package, and I'm proud of what we've got here. But on top of that, of course, we are not immune to the healthcare market across the entire country. It's more of a macro situation, and as we see rising costs around the country, we see rising costs at home as well. I believe in the last piece of, or the last agenda that you had, there was an incomplete proposal that was sent to you. That was because we were still negotiating with the three unions that the city has. There were a couple HRA options that we were going back and forth, and as we were explaining the options that were available to the unions, if they would have chosen to go one way without getting too far into the weeds, if they would have chose, for all intents and purposes, option A, the premium would have been a certain amount, and if they would have chose option B, the premium would have been a different amount. They went with B. So mostly we will be going back to the bargaining table next year, and I think they just wanted to continue that conversation about shifting risk and with the HRA next year. But ultimately, the big ticket items that are changing with this is we are not changing carriers. We still have Medical Mutual of Ohio. We're keeping IMED, which is our city's vision carrier, and we are changing Ameritas. That is our dental carrier. There was pretty universal agreement on dropping Ameritas, and we decided to go with Delta Dental, and we did that with a savings to the city. I think that is a carrier that a lot of the manufacturers and some of the other entities in town use, and you saw more of the local dentists utilizing Delta Dental and not as many utilizing Ameritas, so we had some carrier option confusion there. So we are dropping Ameritas, going with Delta Dental, and some other options that we picked up are utilizing MetLife, which is a partner company with several of the unions. And then I think the biggest change is over the last couple years, we had adopted a sick time donation bank. You see that in a lot of schools and various government entities where after you've exhausted certain PTO, you can donate your sick time to fellow employees. That became sort of a management issue for us, and we decided that it was probably better if we went ahead and invested in our employees for a long-term disability policy. So for very little money, we are able to offer all of our employees a long-term disability policy, and then they, for pennies on the dollar, are able to opt into a short-term disability policy if they so choose. And I think that really depends on their line of work, as we have a variety of employees, from office frontline work to, very physically grueling work. So if they determine that that is something that they would like to invest in themselves, and then of course they have supplemental options that they can pick up themselves, and then they get the group rate benefit from being in the city. So working with McGowan Brabender, working with our partners across the different carriers, we've been able to package that together, and it's been a pretty good negotiation process. We've been able to have these open enrollment meetings and wellness plan meetings with, and of course we have that Wellspring, our wellness plan. And Elizabeth, I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to add, but that's the high notes. If you'd want to ask any more specific questions, we're open to hear that. Riveting stuff, I know.
What was the participation rate in the employee survey? Did you get good participation in that?
I sent out to all the employees.
Could you use the, yep.
I sent it out to all employees. I had about 85 responses.
So out of
Of.
236, our utilization rate, so those that have actually enrolled in benefits, is about 185 employees. So of the 185 employees that use insurance, 85 of them, you know, give or take,
Good.
responded with that survey.
That's not bad.
So I plan to take this to its third and final reading so that we can move forward with these changes.
Yes, please.
We are in the midst of open enrollment, and something that is kind of particular about this enrollment period is this is a 17-month benefit cycle. That is unusual. The last benefit cycle was short. We were on different cycles, so a lot of times you'll see benefit cycles match up to fiscal cycles. We were off cycle. So oftentimes you saw us trying to pair our benefit cycle with our fiscal cycle, and it was a little bit of a nightmare, and we had to try to scrape together some appropriation to match match the cost as we would see, you know, premiums rise, and we would just hang in there until until the next budget year. We are extending that time. We've worked with our broker and we've worked with our carrier to extend that time with this unusual year to get onto a benefit cycle that kind of matches our fiscal year. This is just part of better management of our benefits. And you'll see two other ordinances later on that is another piece of that as we that we hope that we can pass tonight. That's part of what we call enrollment management services. That's a consultation service for our employees. That's another piece that we've been working on for really about 2 years, but we finally landed the plane with a couple of our unions, as it's an amendment to the two of our union contracts. But that better manages our benefits and allows consultation services to some of those employees and offers a payment in lieu of benefit as well, so that they've not been able to access.
Well, with that, we have 2 minutes left, so thank you both very much. Again, this is going to be Resolution 45, Ordinance number 18 and 19 that are all kind of connected to this, that we will want to move through tonight so that we can get on this better cycle of being with our fiscal year. So I will be taking those to the third and final reading, and we'll say that again during the committee. But thank you so much for
Thank
staying
you.
and walking us through. And that's all.
Okay, we're going to adjourn the Employee and Community Relations. We're going to move now to Land Use and Development. Mr. Jacklin, discuss ordinance 2026-11, amended vehicle storage ordinance.
I think we're going to have to, there's been some changes to this one. I think we're going to have to take this to a 4th reading while those changes are corrected. Mr. Zimmerman, if you'd like to, or
yeah, Mr. Marvin's been working on this with the law director and with Mr. Jacklin quite a bit. My other duties have I've been in and out, but we want to make sure we get a nice, clean ordinance that's easy to understand and easy to enforce. So if you would.
I'm not going to get too far into the weeds. I'm going to suffice to say that I was looking over the ordinance that was passed last year and what we were trying to do this year, and there was going to be an egregious error if it went the way it was going. It was going to eradicate some parts of the ordinance that we wanted to keep by replacing it. So I think ultimately you're going to get a longer, cleaner, reworked version of things, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we've been working on integrate there. We've started a new definition section, and we've moved that back into the original, and so you're going to see a new definition section so that it's all combined, so we don't have definitions in one place, in 2 different places, make it easier for people to read and see. And then we're going through and we're tightening up the specific violations, as well as I know that Mr. Jacklin has been in touch with a number of constituents who are very interested in the work trailers, the utility trailers, and so we're making sure that we have that right to what Mr. Jacklin and I believe, hopefully council is expecting to see out of that.
So just in a nutshell, if I could, just when you see what you see in, what he's talking about definitions, things have gotten out of arrangement, and our old, there was a 130901 used to be our motorized vehicle section in the 2014 edition, and 130902 had been our trailers, campers, boats edition. When it was rewritten last year, I think rather inadvertently, 130901 became our definitions. Vehicles and boats were squished into 13902. We are going to replace 130902 with what we have up here, but that just covers trailers. So in essence, we would have eradicated all control over motorized vehicles from the code enforcement side of the house. So that's what's going on. The one we're working on now will clean all that back up, put everything back where it was supposed to be. And like he's saying, not only did Mr. Jacklin get calls, I've got a lot of input from people about utility trailers. So you're going to probably see some language in there. We're going to have to, like they're working on, to try to figure out, try to make everyone happy, reach that sweet spot where we're enforcing enough, but giving enough that the public's on board with us. So.
The bottom line, what are we doing with utility trailers?
Well, I don't exactly know right now. I'm letting them work on it. What I can tell you what we're hearing, and I know some aren't going to like this. In the 14 edition, utility trailers were to be what they stated was a rear portion of the yard. Essentially, the way we're interpreting that is basically anywhere behind the frontage of the house. Had to be back out of sight. Even in the rewrite, we kind of went with that in 2025 edition, which you guys passed, was basically the same way. Rear of the house, out of sight. In the reworked edition, we had them the same way, following suit. Utility trailers, out of sight. We had been working on some exceptions for the more attractive box trailers that people haul motorcycles and kayaks in, with the understanding that people might use those on a weekend basis. It was published out for people to review from the local paper and other sources, and we started getting calls in from people who were upset because they have the open bed utility trailers. I just do enforcement. You guys make the rules. I don't care, no opinion on where you guys go with it. But what I'm hearing from people who have a lot of these trailers is, I keep mine repaired, I keep it well painted, everything's functional. I've had it parked here for decades. Why now? And there is some truth to that, because for whatever reason it wasn't being enforced strictly before. So if you drive around this city, you're going to see utility trailers all over the place in people's driveways, and they have been there for a decade. We are now coming with people saying what you've been doing for a decade is no longer acceptable, and it wasn't acceptable. You just got away with it. I don't know that that's going to be a good answer for the people and that they're going to like it. Like I said, I don't make the rules. All we've been hearing, though, from people is, mine's not ugly. Why should I have to put mine in the rear? So I guess what is kind of being chewed on right now is, if you have a well-maintained small utility trailer, is it acceptable to be in your driveway? We, of course, don't want, in any form, any vehicle, no junk vehicles, no junk trailers, no junk campers, no junk boats. We don't want any of that in anyone's driveway. But the debate right now is, with the public, is if I have a nice trailer, a nice utility trailer, can I keep that in my driveway? That's, I think, what's going to be presented to you folks for review and digestion, and see where you want to go with it.
We're talking open bed.
Open bed, yes, sir.
Okay, and who draws the distinction between junk and nice?
That's part of the description issue we have, and we're going to have to be very specific in the wording about what we're expecting to see as far as paint, rust, functional taillights, decent tires. We're going to have to really clean up the language and make sure that we're not being ambiguous or vague on anything. And I would say ultimately in a debate on the streets, with all that language in place, I'm going to be the decider. And then they're going to have to go through appeal process if they think my decision is wrong. But we want the language to be solid and clear as much as possible to state what's expected of people.
So are we wanting to postpone this indefinitely or table it indefinitely and just come back with a fresh?
Up to the 26th, which will be ready by the 26th or not?
We're going to have a draft for all of council to look at by the end of the week. We're that far along. So the council will see, and if council chooses to do something on the at the end of the month, they can do that. But they'll have
Tuesday
plenty.
after Memorial Day is the 26th. And if it can't be ready by, well, Garth week of the 26th, we postpone it to a further date. But you think it'll be ready by the 26th?
I think we're going to have a draft for everyone to look at by the end of this week.
You can comfortably postpone this to the last meeting of May, the 26th.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You can comfortably postpone this to the last meeting of May or the 26th. And if council decides to, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the other sections of this piece of legislation are the same. You're just looking at the utility trailer section. So if you're not going to, if you decide that you don't want to take action on that particular piece, so then you can make that decision on the 26th. But I don't,
Postpone it to a further future date.
right, and you can make that
So,
decision on the 26th.
You're probably gonna postpone to the 26th, and then at that time, you'll bring an amendment to us.
Yes.
But you're going to see the amendment by the end of this week, so you can review it.
And mostly that's just on the utility, everything else is pretty much the same.
It has shifted other sections around,
Yeah.
that way the language is clear, but the substance of the legislation is the
See
same.
like organizational change in
Yeah.
the document, but nothing
Things have just been
outside.
slid around to the structures, more in keeping with what we've had in the past, and to bring back the 130901. But the language, what you've read will essentially be the same with an insertion of utility trailer language to try to make that work. So you'll have utility trailers probably extracted out of one section where it was before and then applied in other areas to make it fit. But, and you know, I'm interested in getting this on as quick as possible because we have a couple situations that need addressed. So I'm in, you know, this is putting all my work kind of all too. So I would like to
So-
see it get done as quick as possible.
Just what, we got a minute or two, right? So what is the appeals process? You come and tell me my trailer is junky looking. or
The way it
it's
stands
not.
right now, there's a $100, I don't know, payment, I guess you'd call it.
Filing fee.
Filing fee, there you go. That's the word I'm looking for, to get it in. Then it goes in front of the, give me the right name of the board.
Property maintenance
Board of
appeals.
Property Maintenance
Property
Appeals.
Maintenance Appeals Board, thank you, for review, and they make that decision. So I can be overruled very easily if they think I'm out of line or made a wrong decision, and that decision stands. And whenever I send a notice out, so you guys know that, they get a form telling them how to appeal any decision I've made. So everyone's aware, this is what you gotta do if you want to appeal this decision, and all the instructions are on there.
So if you hand one out today and you send them the appeal process and they don't appeal, when does it stop? Or when
When does actions take
when-
place?
yes.
Right now, we have a 10-day window for people to respond. Now, that being said, anyone who calls me with reasonable time saying, look, I'm, you know,
In Aruba.
struggling right now, or a little short on cash, can't afford tires, or, you know, whatever, we work with. We are not hard and fast on anything. Our end goal is compliance, make sure we get the city looking best we can, whatever that takes, so. But there is a 10-day
That's not
term
easy
typed
work.
in there.
That's taxing work, I understand that. so.
And ambiguity's tough. And I don't begrudge you that job, making a decision, junk or not junk.
Well, and to that point, Mr. President, the clearer the language in the legislation, the less ambiguity on the street that any of the code enforcement officers have to take. So the better the legislation, the more cut and dry it is for both the constituent and for the officer.
Okay.
I think we need to proceed here with quite a bit of caution. Subject to an interpretation of one individual, what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable. I would personally prefer that we just put a little bit more concrete language in it and take away that part of it. This is a really hot issue, and if you tell somebody my trailer's no good because so-and-so said so, and if I want to fight it, I got to pay $100 just to file an appeal, that's not going to go over with the public very well.
Yeah.
So I think we need to examine this a little bit further and see if it's possibly a way to clean up the language to where it's not subject to.
And
Yeah, well-
that's exactly that's what we're
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for,
That's why
because
we're
honestly, I'll tell you
postponing.
quite honestly, we say all the time, we don't want to pick winners and losers. It's not fair for us to have to do that. The more language you put in there to make it more clear for me, so that it's not such a decision on my part, bless you for it, because that's what I'd like to see it.
And if,
Well, then
if
why
I
would we
may,
have the language that it's gonna be
No,
subject to this?
no, the language,
Or are we trying
no,
to
the
do away
language
with this
is
language to where it's
clarifying language.
Yeah, the
It's
language
clarifying
exists
language.
today
Yes.
The language today in this right now is ambiguous.
Right.
We're postponing it to add clarification to it
Yep.
and to specify standards.
Exactly. And if someone does choose, and that's more than within their rights, to disagree with either of our decisions, that $100, if they appeal and win, then they get their $100 back too. Okay. This is just a
Public
clean.
opinion, I just don't believe it's gonna happen.
Well, I understand public opinion is very important, and also,
You're the person that they're coming to complaining about, it's even more important. What's best for the citizens here, so I just wanna make sure.
exactly.
If we clear the language up and clear all the interpretation out of it, make it very, very black and white, everybody can agree on that.
Well, then we're all on the same page.
Okay. Mr. Jacklin, you just had 5 minutes, and we're way over that, so let's move on. You can clean that up, and we'll bring it back, and we'll see what we're gonna discuss at the next meeting.
Thank you.
But I see we added another committee meeting before yours, and gonna go back to Mr. Mahan with ordinance number 2026-10, dealing with section 83-1301.
No, that's last week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Rezoning of 804
Okay, this is a new one. Okay, then we're gonna move back to Mr. Jacklin then, with ordinance number 2026-13, 804 Coshocton Avenue.
Yeah.
How did I get to that one?
Well, this is for the rezoning of a residential property to a business, to allow a business to expand into that property. Does anybody, we're going to have a hearing on the 26th. Does anybody have any questions about this?
I don't have a question. I will note that I was at the meeting.
Yes.
And it went through municipal planning unanimously.
All right.
And it looks to me like a really nice addition to a business there on Coshocton. So from my observation at the meeting, and counsel, if that meeting, of course, is available on video, so if you have questions on that, you can go back and watch that. But it seems to me like a good idea.
So what is currently sitting on these two lots?
Where are we at again?
Well, okay, so this is on Coshocton Avenue, and O'Reilly Auto Parts sits on one of the lots. And it's a non-conforming building, or it's non-conforming now on the new zoning code, but it was conforming then. They've acquired the lot next to them, and they're moving that to be, both of them to be general business. And then they're going to, well, there are two lots there that they've acquired. There's a house sitting right there next to their current store. They're going to move their store and reorient it a little bit. And so they're changing those two, they've asked to change those two lots to general business.
If I can add, counsel, this did come up, why doing it? This is not an oil change place. Okay, let's just make sure that that's out there. But O'Reilly does supply several local mechanics, and they need more inventory on hand. And so this was one of those things that seemed like a win-win. We didn't have any opposition at Municipal Planning Commission as well. And so they're paying attention to buffers. They're going to have to come back and make sure that we have. Scott, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, they had a representative there at MPC, and it went very smoothly. They want to be good neighbors. They stress that, and the two parcels that they purchased is going to allow them to expand and also have two entrances in. Zach, do you have the print that they sent by chance? It's a little easier there. That's a little bit easier. If you look, ooh, okay. This is pretty much the existing drive they have now, and then it comes in and just dead ends and everyone comes back. Now they're going to have this where the other properties that they purchased, they're going to actually have almost like a drive-through area here, so you can exit out of either or enter out of either to make it a little safer and a little bit smoother to get in and out. This back here is just mainly storage. They, like the mayor said, this is just parts. There's no repair, no washing, none of that. So.
But they will supply oil change places with parts, right?
They will. They will.
The store is successful, and they want to make it, they want to have a larger store, possibly another employee. So again, I think it's a good idea.
And they have a they're going to have a nice plan, and all the way on the west property line there, that's going to be trees and shrubs and green space for shielding or screening.
Again, council has to remember is when you change zoning, that particular buyer may not be there forever. We're changing zoning so that it could be a different type of company come in. That zoning has to fit where whoever
Right,
will be there.
it'll be GB. It'll be GB, and there's GB spots throughout Coshocton Avenue all the way down to here.
So if they don't make it, I vote for Quaker Steak and Lube. I mean, perfect.
On theme.
The ultimate solution.
That would be. I think that the people would hold us in high esteem if we could get that. Yes, but yeah, as long as it meets GB, they can put it in. So that's all we can do. Any other questions or?
There's going to be a hearing. On
Yes,
the 20th.
yeah, we have to have a public hearing for it to change zoning.
Anything else, Mr. Chapman?
No, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Zimmerman.
we're going to adjourn the Land Use and Development Committee meeting, and we're now in recess until 7:30 p.m. when we begin the legislative portion of the meeting.